Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com for Saturday, September 29th. Tom Leach along with Keeneland's Director of Wagering Development, Jim Goodman. It's a big weekend with Breeders' Cup preview cards in New York and Santa Anita, and you got the Lucas Classic, which is got Mind Your Biscuits prepping for the Classic, the Breeders' Cup Classic in there. We're going to take a look at the 3 stakes races that are part of the late pick 4 at Belmont on Saturday, and we'll start in the 8th race with one of 2 Grade 1s, the Joe Hirsch Turf Classic at 1.5 miles. Jim, where are you going in the Turf Classic?
Well, first of all, I hope it quits raining in New York because they've been off the turf all week long. So I'm hoping they get a little dry weather. So cause this is a nice little race. I think Robert Bruce is going to be the big favorite. I got a buddy who said pick 4 is easy. You just single Robert Bruce and you single Diversify and go all, $35, which is not a bad play, actually. Robert Bruce won the Arlington Million to give him plenty of time off since then. He's got to work out a trip. He comes some way out of it. So down the one hole, I don't think it's going to hurt him, and Ortiz obviously can navigate that. He's going to be the big favorite, but I think there's a couple other horses in here that you got to look at. Channel Maker, the 8 horse, is getting better right now, and he may not have been able to compete with these horses last year, but he's Grade 1 tested, and he almost won the Sword Dancer last time out, and Glorious Empire went wire to wire, if I remember that. And I think he can. His positional speed helps him here, and there's not that horse that jumps out at you that's got a lot of speed to go wire to wire, so it may be Channel Maker by default here. High Happy does have positional speed as well, and High Happy hasn't raced as well this year as he did last year, or in the summer rather, in the Manhattan and Man of War. If he gets back to that level, he's right there. I don't know what's happened. Channel Maker beat him in the Bowling Green on soft turf at Saratoga, and then he came back in the Sword Dancer. He went off 4-1, and again, Glorious Empire went wire to wire there. So I think that was kind of a aberration. So I think High Happy has a shot here. So that's the 3 horses that we'll use when I get to pick 4. But Robert Bruce is my win pick. Might box Robert Bruce and High Happy here.
I ended up taking Sadler's Joy. It's a horse I picked before. Part of the reason I took this horse is I think you're going to get a little bit of a price, which hadn't been the case for a while. 3 of his 6 lifetime wins have been at 1.5 miles, and he likes Belmont. And I'm going to take a shot with him mainly because I think I'm going to like the price I'll get. But I think I started to go Channel Maker. I think he is really in his best form, and I think he looks like he really loves 1.5 miles. Got to use Robert Bruce. And then I'm also going to use, when we get to the pick 4, Teodoro, just the Euro Invader getting Lasix is an angle I can't pass up. I could easily be talked into using pretty much all in this race, but I'm going to go with those 4 just to keep the ticket affordable. But I thought Spring Quality and High Happy, I would easily like to include them as well. But Sadler's Joy, kind of a shaky win pick for me. The 9th is the Grade 3 Pilgrim at 1 1/16 on the turf for 2-year-olds. And I'm going to take a shot here with Spirit Animal for Chad Brown. This is one of his main clients, Klarovich Stable. I think you might get a little value in this horse because he's only had the maiden win. It was a moderate speed figure. But I went back and looked at the race, and he kicked away nicely when he got the lead. Big improvement in the turf debut. They wanted to run him turf first out, and was one of many that got rained off the turf up at Saratoga. And I could see this horse taking a big step up in his second turf start for Chad Brown and one of his main clients. And you could get a little bit of a better price than you're used to getting on a Chad Brown horse in this particular circumstance. Opry, the 5. Some Like It Hot Brown, who was really impressive, winning 2 starts ago against State Bred Company up at Saratoga. And then a couple of price horses, a 40 under. I went back and looked at his last race, big upset winner at Saratoga on Travers Day. And on the gallop out, boy, he was strong. So I'm going to throw that one in there. Dashing Dan made a big improvement in the second start. So that's always worth looking at with these 2-year-olds, kind of all once the light bulb comes on for them. So I'm going to go a little deep in here, but Spirit Animal is going to be my win pick in the Pilgrim. How about you?
I can make a case for a lot of them in here. Win pick is Opry. I think that just like a lot of these others, Pledger, always meant this one for turf and got rained off the first time out. Ran okay and almost broke his maiden first time out. Got beat about half a length by Cairo Cat, who came back and ran great the next time out. So and then Opry comes back and wins with anticipation a Grade 3 as a maiden. It's always tough to do, even though you did only have one start and to look at. Opry looks like moving in the right direction for Pletcher. Some like it Hot Brown around second in that race, and I think you make a case for him. 40 under for Englehart that you mentioned at 20-1 last time out. Don't think you're going to get 20-1 today. Social Paranoia, who's a maiden for Pletcher, but has been right there every time. Finally got him on the turf last time out and ran better. Spirit Animal, same way. First one was off the turf, got a race in him, and he comes back on the turf and wins. So I'm going to go 5 deep here. Opry's my win pick. I hate to pick a 9-5 shot, but I think he's the most likely winner.
Let's go to the 10th race, the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup, 1.25 miles. Diversify, odds on the morning line. What do you think about the JC Gold Cup?
Well, I think Diversify certainly deserves to be odds on. If you go back and look at the Whitney and the Suburban, one I'm on a fast track and one I'm on a sloppy track, and he won by 6.5 and 3.5. 2 Grade 1s with 2 110 buyers. So he wins this race last year with a 107 buyer, and I can't find any chinks in his armor. I'm going to use him. Obviously, I'm not going to single him. I refuse to bet the 2 horses that a lot of people are going to talk about. I think Gronkowski and Mendelssohn are 2 of the most overrated horses that I've seen in a long time, and I refuse to bet them. If they beat me, they beat me. I think Gronkowski ran about like he was supposed to in the Travers, and he may come back and throw a big race in me, but I just don't think he's that good. And I don't think Mendelssohn's that good. I think those horses are cut below the best 3-year-olds. So I think that they're up against Diversify, a 5-year-old on his home track, 6 for 8 at Belmont, 2 for 2 at the distance. I am going to throw a horse in there that has a shot. I think Thunder Snow. Any horse that wins the Dubai World Cup by 5 3/4 lengths over West Coast, I am going to put him in my ticket here. I don't know Juddmonte. It was he's not as good on the turf, and he ran the Juddmonte, a big race at York, and he didn't run very well. I don't think they expected him to run very well. Went off at 16-1. So back on the dirt, he's got some amends to make for the Kentucky Derby blow up last year. So I think Thunder Snow has a shot, and as a full disclosure, I have 20-1 on him in the future book for Breeders' Cup Classic.
Ooh.
I think about a 40-1.
Good for you.
I think it's 40-1 in the last pool. So.
Diversify is going to be a single for a lot of people, and I can certainly understand that. My thing with him, I'm going to try to upset him here, and there's one other horse I'm going to use in the pick 4. And really, if you try to beat him, the wise play is to probably use more than one other horse, because if not him, then there's several I think you can make a case for. But when I get to the pick 4 ticket, I gotta keep it somewhat manageable from a price standpoint. So the thing on Diversify that I'm going to try to the angle to go against him is he's had back-to-back 110 buyers, and those are the best 2 figures ever. And I think it's more likely he goes backward than forward. And the thing is, he could go backward and still be good enough to win. He loves this track, the distance, so he could regress and still win. But on my hunch that he's going to regress, I ended up taking a swing with Gronkowski. And I watched the Travers, and he was down on the inside and just looked like he hated the kickback. He was a little closer than he was in the Belmont, so I think gets back to Ortiz, who rode him in the Belmont. I think he takes him farther back and just makes one run. And if he improves off the 99 that he ran the Belmont Stakes, and if Diversify regresses to the lower hundreds, then he's got a shot. So I'm going to throw him in there. But I think if you take a stand against Diversify, probably the wise play would be to use Thunder Snow too, and maybe even 1 or 2 others. But I'm not going to do that to keep the ticket affordable. So I'm going to take Gronkowski for an upset, but not with a lot of confidence. So let's go to the pick 4. It's not an all-stakes pick 4. It starts in the 8th race. The Vosburg is a Grade 1, but Imperial Hint's a huge favorite in there, so it's not in the pick 4. So the 11th race is a one other than allowance on the turf for fillies and mares 3 and up, and I spread a little bit in that race. So tell me what your pick 4 ticket looks like.
Okay, my pick 4 ticket, I used 3 horses in the first leg, Robert Bruce the 1, High Happy the 2, and Channel Maker the 8. I spread in the turf race for 2-year-olds. I really don't have a clue there. So I went 2, 5, 7, 8, 9, 40 under Opry, Some Like It Hot Brown, strange name, and Social Paranoia and Spirit Animal. I am going to use 2 horses in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, the 6 and the 8, Diversify and Thunder Snow. And then I'm using 5 horses in the last leg. Ferdinanda, the 2 for Barclay Tag. Nantucket Red, the 3 for Belmont. The 4 Lion in Wait for Brad Cox, and probably would be my top pick simply because Brad Cox has been so hot. The 5, Chiara Luna for Christophe Clement. And the 7, Out of Trouble for Ortiz and another Brad Cox. So I'm going to use 5 there. So my ticket, I think, is $75. You want to cut it in half and single diversify, it's only $37.50. So 1, 2, 8 with 2, 5, 7, 8, 9 with 6, 8 with 2, 3, 4, 5, 7.
I'm going to go 1, 3, 5, 8 in the first leg, which is Robert Bruce, Sadler's Joy, Teodoro, and Channel Maker. 5 in the Pilgrim, 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, 40 under Dashing Dan, Opry, Some Like It Hot Brown, and Spirit Animal. In the Jockey Club Gold Cup, it's 2, 6, Gronkowski and Diversify. And then in order of preference, it's actually the same numerical order, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9 in the last leg. So that's Nantucket Red, who would be my win pick, Lion in Wait, Chia Luna, Stainless for a long shot. I think there's a little back class in that horse, and Fool's Gold, the 9 of Chad Brown. So for me, that's a $100 ticket for 50 cents. If you want to pare it down, you could cut off the 8 and the 9 in the last leg, depending on how much you want to pare it down. Or you could single diversify and pare it down that way. But I'm going to go 1, 3, 5, 8 with 2, 3, 5, 7, 9 with 2, 6 with 3, 4, 5, 8, 9. A little pricier than I normally go, but if I could hit on the Gold Cup, then you really got a chance to make it pay well. Best of luck. Remember, you've got the Breeders' Cup preview card at Santa Anita, several stakes races there. You've got Churchill with the Lucas Classic, and see if Mind Your Biscuits can stretch out and get a shot to run in the Breeders' Cup Classic. And then you've got the Belmont card as well. Now, don't forget, next weekend, Keeneland starts. It's on Friday the 5th, and we'll be doing podcasts of the late for the late pick 4 and the stakes every day of the Keeneland Fall Meet. So look for that at KeenelandSelect.com. Keep your accounts fully funded. Look for Keeneland on all the social media channels, too. A lot of insight into handicapping that way as well. And we'll see you next week on the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.